Well, the military demanding the government and all political forces respect the will of the people. Now, these are pictures of Tahrir Square, where protesters once again are demanding President Morsy step down. The crowds earlier cheered this ultimatum by the military.
The armed forces repeat their call for the people's demand to be met and gives everyone 48 hours as a final chance to shoulder the burden of a historic moment in our country which will not forgive any party that will be negligent in bearing their responsibility.
Well, let's go to Cairo now for the very latest for you. Senior international correspondent Ben Wedeman joining us live. Huge crowds in Tahrir Square, much smaller but significant demonstrations also for the government, of course, outside their offices in a different part of Cairo. Ben, we heard from the military today. We heard what they said. What is their intent at this point?
Well, their intent really is to lay down the law, to read the riot act, so to speak, to the opposition, but more clearly to President Mohamed Morsy, that the people of Egypt have made their voice clear. We've seen 3 nights in a row now of huge demonstrations, not just in Cairo, but in Alexandria and other Egyptian cities. The message to President Morsy is you've got to make moves to end this current crisis. Analysts will tell you that there are really 3 things that he needs to do. He needs to reshuffle his cabinet, to bring in members of the opposition, and to reduce the level of participation in the government by the Muslim Brotherhood and its allies. He needs to call for early presidential and parliamentary elections. These are some serious demands on a president who just a year ago won in Egypt's first ever free and fair presidential election. So they're really throwing down the gauntlet to Mohamed Morsy. The Muslim Brotherhood, to which the group that he belongs to, has said that they will consider the army's statements. The army is probably expecting a somewhat more forthright response to their demand. The opposition is meeting this evening to consider it as well. But if they cannot come to some sort of agreement, then we very well could see within now less than 48 hours the army taking over Egypt again. Becky?
We are talking about a military takeover effectively within 48 hours, right? Are we correct in saying that? Because they didn't make it clear themselves, did they?
Well, no, in fact, in the military statement that was issued today, they stressed that the military wants to stay out of politics and conduct its normal role to defend the nation. But they also said that if the politicians within 48 hours can't come up with some sort of consensus in how to run this country, the military has a long-term roadmap for the country. Does that mean a permanent military takeover? No, but it probably means a blueprint for brief, short military control of the country, leading to elections somewhere down the line. But definitely, it does feel like we're going back to the 12th of February 2011, when Egypt woke up and found that the military, the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces, was running the country.
But I know that there was huge support from the crowd in Tahrir Square earlier today when the military made this announcement. Should we then expect that most Egyptians, particularly those who are anti-Morsy, would support a military takeover, despite what they've been through in the past?
Well, really, it depends who you speak with. For many Egyptians who aren't so interested in democracy as much as law and order, a functioning economy, fuel that's not in short supply, and are tired of long and frequent power cuts, they want a government, it doesn't matter whether they wear military uniforms or not, that can get the country back on its feet, get the economy running again, encourage tourists to return to this country, because at the moment there's so many loose ends that democracy, freedom for many Egyptians isn't as important as